Same thing watching the tape, Chris. It didn't get bad or ugly. It didn't show up in the live version.
No, we felt like it showed up in the live version as well. So we, like with any loss, we have to learn from it, and it's been problematic really all year. But as we play, teams that a little bit more familiar with us, you get into conference play, you go on the road, your deficiencies get exposed. And we just have to be better on the defensive end. Disappointed with how we turned the ball over. I thought we were improving, but that was what led to a ton of easy points for Pittsburgh. And obviously tomorrow the challenge doesn't get any easier as we play a team that is known to get out in passing lanes and create offense from their defense.
You say you noticed this all season, though, that I'm talking about the defensive deficiency you're talking about.
Absolutely. I don't think there's, been a point where, we felt that our defense is good enough to win against elite teams. We need to do a better job of containing the basketball and keeping it in front of us. We got to do a better job as coaches, schematically. But at the end of the day, we have to keep the ball out of the lane. And the more it gets in there, the more problems it's going to present.
Because of the defense, do you think it's an effort thing or just them trying to be familiar with the system?
It's everything. It's everything. If it was one thing, it might be a little easier to fix. It's effort. A lot of things that you need on that end of the floor to be successful. A lot of the things that you need team-wise. It just starts with want, and that has not been where it needs to be.
What do you think you guys were doing in games like Seton Hall and Michigan State, and even for most of the game Tennessee? Although I realize defensively that wasn't great, but what were you doing in those games that you guys are not doing now? Do you think?
Well, I think we were doing a much better job of not letting one play affect the next. We were containing the basketball. I think with Seton Hall specifically, a little bit easier to do at times. With maybe their personnel. Some of the personnel from other teams has given us a tough way to go. I think they gained their confidence, and I'm talking about Pittsburgh when McGowan's hit a couple threes, which hasn't necessarily been a strength of theirs going into the game, and then it led to downhill driving and us not being able to foul. So again, I think that when you look at some of the games where we won, that maybe we were playing better defense, we weren't giving up as many points in transition as we did against Pittsburgh. There were a lot of times where, quite honestly, their defense led to their offense, and those are indefensible. 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s, having mismatches because you're sprinting back in transition, your defense not set. That really hurt us the other night against Pittsburgh.
What does it do to your defense when a opposing guard gets in the lane with the ball?
Well, it causes other people to figure out whether they need to help or not. And, at times that driver was too downhill. That the help is going to foul. You're going to pinch in and give up, open threes. It leads to, when the shot goes up, even if the first shot's missed, better positioning on the offensive glass. Again, that's where it starts for us, is to keep the ball out of the lane.
North Carolina's guards shoot a lot of three-pointers. Are they more perimeter-oriented than some of the guards you played lately who want to get in the lane, or not? Are they do both?
Carolinas do both. I mean, they're good for a reason. They got really good players. They got a great scheme. They play fast. They play inside out on the offensive end, and so we've got challenges everywhere. But I just think that on the defensive end, keeping the ball out of the lane, whether you're playing a post-up or whether you're playing a man on the perimeter, that's That's the task we face, really any game. But Carolina, they expose you because they have players at every position that can hurt you.
Chris, when you look at a guy like Luke May, how difficult of a matchup does he pose?
He's difficult. He's crafty. I think when you look at him, physically he doesn't overly impress you. And then, his skill level, his ability to pass and make his teammates better, he certainly is shooting the ball extremely well from distance, especially the last 4 or 5 games. And, he's a load in the post. So depending on, what type of 4-man you have, he's always a mismatch because he can go inside and out. And so I think that's what makes him so valuable, let alone all the experience that he brings to the table.
Dwayne mentioned that you guys have discussed the slow starts and said they need to just come out and set the tone. How do you guys come out and set the tone?
That's a good question. We would be tone setters in the right way if I knew right now. I think the only thing that you can do is not panic, continue to emphasize the things that you feel are important, and try to get those across to your players through film, through coaching. We're not going to, draw up some magical scheme, some magical defense. You just have to be. You have to be resilient. You have to stick to what you believe in as a coach, and that's what our coaching staff's going to continue to do and continue to stress. And but we do have to get off to better starts. There's no doubt about it. When you're on the road, you got to take care of the ball. Look at the first 5-6 minutes of the game against Pittsburgh. We have 7 turnovers, and you have to be the same team in your practice gym as you are on the road. And I'd like to think that experience could help that, but that certainly wasn't the case on Wednesday.
You hadn't been a high turnover team all year. Any reason why all of a sudden that cropped up?
Just putting fingers in the holes of the dike right now, and so we you got to give your team what it needs. And right now, teams that pressure us have bothered our guards, and we've got to get better at that, and we've got to get past that.
Have you been able to put a finger on what might be bothering Darius Perry or why he's struggling right now?
Darius just needs to move on to the next play, and he's got to make better decisions when he doesn't do that. We need his defensive ability for sure, but right now he's having a tough time keeping guys out of the lane, just like all our guys.
You face it in the postseason, of course, but a short turnaround, short period of time to prepare for a game or a team like North Carolina. Very difficult.
Carolina's not very complex. They're just very good at what they do. So on one hand, the X's and O's aren't very difficult to prepare for. It's the Jimmy and Joes that are. They run a Carolina secondary. I don't know if you've heard of it. And they're going to go from defense to offense as quick as any team in the country. So they don't try to fool you. They're not trying to change things up offensively from game to game. They have very good players. They have a system that they believe in, but it's pretty vanilla. And I think Coach Williams would probably be the first to tell you that. So the quick turnaround time isn't the issue. It's the pace of which Carolina plays, keeping in an aggressive team on the glass, off the glass, and then taking care of the ball, which honestly has a lot less to do with Carolina than it does more to do with Louisville.
How does their speed in transition affect the way that you rebound?
It shouldn't affect the way we rebound. It should affect the way we run back once we don't get the rebound. But I think anytime you can, gain, offensive rebound points, it gives you extra time to get back. And so we don't change our approach when it comes to playing a faster team from defense to offense on the glass.
Anything else for Coach?
It's been a while since you've been there, but you've never lost there, have you?
No.
Were you as an assistant at all 3 of the times?
I was. Really good game. 2 years when Coach Doherty was the head coach, and then Coach Williams' first year, an epic game. It was either 2 overtime, 3 overtime game right before Christmas. I think it was first ACC game for Coach Williams. So, a lot different team. They had a lot of talent back then in his first couple of years. Obviously, they won a national championship fairly early on. Makings of a really good team. We had a great team. It was a good time.
Hey, thanks, Coach.
Yep.